Welcome. This is your host, Vando 12A. Welcome to the Station House podcast. I'm here with my co host, D.
What up, everyone? Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Those of you that don't know, me and D were partners for probably about like 4 to 5 years
Hmm.
as volunteer cops many years ago.
In the North Bronx,
Yeah,
Northside Bronx.
exactly. After that, we became cops in different departments. D, so tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. Born and raised in the Bronx. Did some volunteer work, with the local precinct. It was a pretty good experience for the most part. Learned a lot. You know, it's tough. The Bronx is a tough place to work in. You get all sorts of people that don't respect cops, and I feel like joining this program really toughens your skin and prepares you for, these other agencies that you apply for. So I got the opportunity to, volunteer this some time. I think I did about 5 to 6 years. And man, I loved every single moment of it. I learned a lot, back then. I mean, it's different now, there's a lot of restrictions when it comes to getting things done. But back then, we used to do everything basically. We used to respond to jobs. We used to help with aidants, which is somebody who's in need of a help, um, medical help. We used to go to officer needs assistance, backup, everything you name it. And I enjoyed every single moment of it. Because I learned a lot, and it really helped me out, build my career. And from there, I left the department and went to working for the state, where I did about 6 years, maybe I think it was, and I became a sergeant. And from there, man, it's a lot. It's a lot, But thank you for having me, brother.
Anytime, yeah. Back in those days, man. Man, the program is so different now.
Hmm.
So all right, I'm not sure if you if you remember this story.
Hmm.
There was
Tell me
this
about it. Tell me
there
about
was this
it.
lieutenant that we used to call the Barbie back in the days. He was kind of like a little tyrant, where I don't know
Hmm.
why, but he just hated the volunteer cops. Well, that's what we thought.
Yeah.
He always gave us attitudes. I don't know what it was, so we just nicknamed him the Barbie.
Hmm.
He was some pretty boy kind of guy.
Okay.
I
Okay.
I
Yeah.
remember. I'm not sure if you remember the situation where we were driving around and there was he goes on the radio. He's asking for assistance for officers to respond to his location for
Hmm.
53, right? 53 is
53 is a
a car
motor vehicle
accident.
accident. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was multiple car accidents, probably like 10
Hmm.
cars that like hit each other. So he's asking for assistance, but no cops are responding. I guess that night it was very busy. So I think it was me and D and a few other officers responded
Hmm.
to the scene to help him out. And we're there for a while. And as volunteer cops, they have is a coordinator in charge of, so essentially he's a police officer in charge of that unit.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure if you remember, but the coordinator calls us and said, "Listen, 10-2, back to command. 10-2 means go back to command." And
Hmm.
we ended up leaving the
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
that
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember exactly.
that lieutenant there
Oh my
high and
God.
dry. So we were stuck in a predicament because he's a lieutenant, but he's also not our direct supervisor. Our direct supervisor is
But
the coordinator.
but you know what's crazy about that too? Now that I remember is that I think he was a new lieutenant. He was just transferred, so he didn't really know much of us. And to be honest, that supervisor, that lieutenant, was in charge of our coordinator. So
Exactly.
that was
Yeah.
his direct supervisor. Yeah, but yeah, go ahead, man.
So we didn't know we didn't know who to listen to, so we just chose our coordinator. We went back and Lieutenant Barbie comes literally cursing up a storm, and then
hmm
he put our coordinator in a traffic post for like a whole month
Yeah,
in the cold winter as punishment for uh, for for having us leave him. Now, grant you, I think it was our fault because we didn't tell the coordinator what we were doing. He just said
true.
10-2, so we figured that we should go back. So
hmm
we felt really bad, and a couple of us ended up driving to because he ended up posting him in a traffic post with no vehicle.
hmm
So and it was freezing. So we both
Yeah, I
a few
remember
of us
for like a whole
ended
month. For a whole month.
yeah, a few of us ended up. Well, at the time I didn't have a car, but a few of the officers took their personal car and actually went over there to his spot. And for the 8 hours he was there, we put the heater on for him and all that. So
hmm
that's how we were close to. We had a bond with our coordinator. But that was one of those things, man, that we should have listened to, but
Yeah,
it's a learning
that
experience.
was that was this first time ever really meeting us because we never we never met the guy. You know, the guy just started and we just heard of him. You know, the guy is a lieutenant, and and that was just the first time we ever even met him. So that was the first impression of us. And it wasn't so good because we left. I mean, I remember that day. That was a big accident, and it was chaos, man. And for us to leave like that, I was like, man, I don't know if we should leave, man. This is we're really helping out here, and us leaving, man. It was funny, but yeah, man. We had some good memories. It was good times, good times.
Yeah, back in those days, we weren't chaperoned by officers. We literally had two police cars
hmm
in our precinct, and we would just drive
That
around.
belonged to us, yeah.
They belonged to us, so we just drive around picking up 53 jobs, car accidents and missing people
hmm
or assisting officers when they needed help and we were nearby. So those days it was good to be a volunteer cop back in those days. It was just
hmm
fun. There was more freedom. Now, grant you, yeah, of course, it was dangerous. Um, but it was more freedom. Like you get to learn. The whole point of that job, that volunteering, is to learn your job. So when you
hmm
become a real police, not a real cop, but make it a full time job.
hmm
You know what you're doing already.
Oh yeah, and I feel like nowadays, from what I'm hearing, is that they don't really utilize the officers now like they used to. Like I said, back then we used to do a lot. We used to really get down. We used to help out these officers when they needed the help. Now, they have these guys now on a traffic post where they're directing traffic. They're not really utilizing these guys like they're supposed to. I feel like, in my opinion, and it sucks because we're not learning much. They're doing traffic posts. That's all they're doing, and it's not fair to them in a way.
Yeah, it's true because they're not learning nothing. The whole point of that is to learn.
hmm
Now, obviously, every precinct is different, and they got different supervisors that allow them to do certain things. But the
hmm
majority of the time, they don't want you to do anything.
Yeah,
Grant you, yeah, there's been a lot of deaths in there. I
yeah.
think it was like maybe 15, I think, or 10 in in a span of like 50 years.
Yeah, and unfortunately, things are the way they are today because of past experience. Like for example, the reason why we have vests is because of the two officers that lost their lives. A couple, a while ago. And they were able to give us the vest. There's certain things that happen that that they're the reason why they are today.
Yeah, back in those days, they had no vests. Like I was when I interviewed Jesse,
Hmm.
he was telling me that back in those days, you had no vest. You were out there in the projects in the street. Like that's insane.
Shout out to Jesse,
Um,
man. He's a good supervisor. I've known him for a long time, man, and he is funny. He makes me laugh, and he's a really good guy.
yeah, shout out to him. I have
We
to
should we
call him
should definitely
because
do we should definitely do a podcast together, all three of us.
yeah, for sure. I'll definitely hit him up. I know I gotta hit him up. I saw something on Facebook about his mother. He's in the
Yeah,
hospital, so I'm praying for him and his mom,
praying for
and
him and
I
his
check up
family. Hmm.
and I check up on him in a few. But
Hmm.
yeah, it was just good time, man. It was just good time. Um, the experience I had there, I had to have gone through being a volunteer cop for me to
Hmm.
be a police officer because I was a little bit of a hothead to begin with a lot
No,
of
I
things.
remember, man. Talking about hothead, I remember because I've been there before you. I remember your first day. I don't know if you remember this event. We had went to this. It was like this carnival fair, this detail, and I forgot somebody pissed you off. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember it? Remember that?
I think I know who it was. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody had pissed you off, and the guy got in your face, and I was like, man, don't worry about it, man. This guy, he's just doing it just to be a tough guy.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, wow. I I just remember that now. I haven't remember that in years, but yeah, he was an EDP, I think. But
Mhm.
back in when I started, I was a hothead. I just I didn't know. Not saying I was crazy, but I
Mhm.
would get mad easily. But I had to go through these experiences
Mhm.
to um to mature enough
Mhm.
to get on the job. Because a lot of people, even though it's different from a lot of people, but some people join the department when they're 21.
Mhm.
They're not even mature enough to like their minds is not even mature enough, and then then they'll go and join the department. So I'm glad that I went through this process to get me more maturity enough then to start doing the real thing, making college and stuff like that, because you're essentially someone that can take people's freedoms away, but you also
Mhm.
can't sit there and abuse your power. So just
I
because
agree.
somebody curse you out doesn't mean that you're
Mhm.
gonna lock them up. So I had to go through that to kind of prepare myself for like what was to come.
Of course, of course, man. It's all good experience, man. Like I said, I learned a lot from that program, and I recommend it. I mean, I don't know if I still recommend it, because things have changed, but I mean, I still recommend it. It's a good program. You learn a lot, and it's also good for people who's thinking about going towards that field. At least you get some type of experience, and you get to see some of the policing side of what to expect. Because some people they're thinking of becoming a cop, a police officer, and they just don't know if they want to go through it. So I think that's a perfect opportunity to you know experience that type of field and see if that's what they really want to do.
Yeah. So Officer D was he was a field training officer
Hmm.
as a back when we were partners over there. Did you ever make? Did you ever made it to? No, right? Did you ever get promoted to like sergeant over there or no?
So I
I don't even
so
remember.
yeah, that was in the process. So I had took the course and everything to become the sergeant, and they were taking pretty long. They had some type of delays. I don't know what delays they had, but during the same time where I was transitioning to go into the role of an officer for the state. So I decided to just quit, call it quits. I try to stay as much as I can, but things weren't really going as planned. So no, I didn't make it. But I took the course. I was waiting just to be brought in and they say, hey, you're gonna be promoted, da da da. But yeah, I didn't make it to that far.
I never finished the course. like
Oh, you didn't
they,
finish the course?
they act. They the coordinator at the time asked me to if I wanted to be a supervisor. So I said yes. But what happened was at the time I was a security guard, right, doing the
Mm-hmm.
volunteer police on the side. Then DHS police called me, so I figured like this was like around the time at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't really call out as much in my security job. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
make a decision. Should I call out to do the class for supervisor, or should I call out to actually get to do the real thing? So I ended up calling
Yeah.
out to doing DHS. So I never finished. So I never got called in. I thought, like, wow, I was doing both. Man, that's crazy. You
Yo,
know,
it's
I
crazy, man.
I know
Putting
you
some
and me
time
did
in,
it. I know you and me did
yo.
it. I mean, you did it for a while. I stood there for a little longer, doing
Mm-hmm.
both. I was wearing a uniform 7 days a week. That's insane, man.
That is insane.
Like I was doing overtime at my job. Then on my days off doing the volunteer police, I thought, like, wow. I said, yo, this is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I had enough, and I just ended up resigning because it was just
Yeah,
too
man.
much.
Even for me at the time, I was going to school, working full time, and doing that, man. And I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning, it's all fun, because everyone is hype, everyone is wearing his uniform, everyone is excited because they got this patch on their arm, and like it's a totally different experience once you have that uniform on. You feel like you're part of this family, this lifestyle. It's all that really is a lifestyle, man. Putting on the uniform, being part of this family of blue, and going out there to help out. So I didn't really mind it in the beginning because I was happy, man. I was excited. But after a while, it gets tiring because you're doing all these things, and it just comes overwhelming sometimes. But yeah, man.
Yeah. So let's talk about your. So you went and you became a police officer in the state.
Yes.
So how was your experience as an officer, and also when you got promoted to sergeant? How was that experience? I never made it to in even in my current police department. I never made it
Mhm.
to sergeant. Uh, but how was that experience like to begin with?
So yeah, I mean, definitely. The for the officer part, it was a cool experience. You getting you out there. It's like a different. It's very different when you coming from volunteering, because now I'm able to make arrests, do car stops, do whatever, doing this. So for me to do that now is even more exciting, man. Yeah, we out here, we're helping people out, and we're able to help people out. That's the reason why I decided to join that. And the experience, man, it was tough at first because now you're new. So now these people that you normally see every single day, they see you and they see that your uniform is new and you look new. They know all these guys outside.
You're a
They see that you're
shiny.
new.
You're considered a
Yeah,
shiny now.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
we said.
But yeah, man, you just gotta hold your ground. But yeah, it was tough at first because you know, the senior officers will kind of put you to a test. You know, they want to be able to test you and see if you know your stuff, if you're able to back them up. So I had to prove myself in a way for them to like accept me in some type of way. So it was hard at first, but then I got a hang of it. Um, and it's a very stressful job, man. We work in a lot of hours, and not a lot of people realize that we're out here risking our lives for others. You know, it's a thankless job. Um, and then I wanted to do more. You know, I wanted to becoming a sergeant, and it was something that I really wanted. You know, I wanted to help out the team and be a team player. That's how I've always been. Um, and the main reason why I wanted to become a sergeant, because I wanted to change the vision of how we're being looked at in the streets. You know, I wanted to show that we're out here to help people and not to put them away. And that started with the youth. Something that we forgot to mention is that I helped out with the youth. That's something that we helped out back then. Is showing the youth that the cops are not the bad guys. We want to show them that type of side that we're out here to help them out. So but it was like the same for being a sergeant, man. It was tough at first. Once you're new, people want to test you and they want to push you because they know that you're new. You're still learning. So it was tough. You know, some of the other supervisors, that I was working with from other shifts, they would be kind of envy because some people would like to work. They wanted to work with me instead of them. So it was kind of tough, because other supervisors were kind of was upset about that.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. You mentioned about that. Like, you had other officers there, trying to like trying to see if they could trust you by testing you and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Um, in the last episode, I said a quick story about my first time working in DHS.
Mhm.
My first day going into it was a Parkview. It was a shelter called Parkview in 110th Street, Central Park North. And I never seen this sergeant ever again. I only seen it once. And my first interaction with her was, first thing she told me was, "What's your name?" I told her my name, and then she was like, "Oh, okay, so you could fight?" And I'm like, "What?" She like I was confused, and I
Yeah.
said, "I think so." She's like, "Okay, so we're gonna test that out." And I'm like, "How?" She was like, "Follow me." Then we went to the back, and there's this officer. I'm not gonna mention his name, but she told me you should try to cuff him. I want to see if you know anything about anything.
Mhm.
So we literally are scuffling in the back in full uniform and everything, where nobody can see us. And I had to prove myself to her. I had to prove it to her that one, I can fight, and two, this is crazy. We're in full
Mhm.
uniform, literally tussling in the back. She wanted to see if I can handle myself. So when I did that, I understood why later on,
Mhm.
because in that place you're dealing with crazy people all day, murderers, rapists, people that came out of prison that kill somebody and they're like 35 years, and the first person they see is you in uniform. So that kind of prepared me for what was to come. Literally, I saw it all, from
Mhm.
stabbings, rapes, Uh, Even though I didn't witness this, but this was before I got to the job. But I remember a guy got his head completely chopped off his body in one
Wow.
of the shelters, completely
That's
chopped off, like
insane.
no bone. He's literally chopped it over a cell phone.
Hmm.
So then so you had to know how to defend yourself because when you're in these buildings,
Hmm.
the place is very narrow. So it's like a one way in, one way out scenario. Everybody that lived in that shelter in their rooms, they had knives. They were allowed
Hmm.
to cook, so they had knives, they had weapons, well, knives, cooking knives, butcher knives. So if you didn't know how to defend yourself and you
Hmm.
are stuck in that room, they could pretty much kill you. They could pretty much stab you in the neck, and that's it. So
Wow.
even though it was my first experience and I felt weird, I'm like, why is she doing this to me? But later on, I realized like this is no joke. So she
Hmm.
wanted to know that I was ready to what I was getting myself into. Because if
Hmm.
I wasn't, then that wasn't the job for me. And I seen a lot of things, obviously, in the 2 years I was there. But the reason why I left is because it was too stressful. It was too much
Yeah.
fights, too much arrest. The arrest wasn't going anywhere. I can make an arrest. The judge will let them go. In the last
Hmm.
episode, I said a story that I arrested a girl who stabbed a guy. Then the butcher knife was in his chest. I arrested her, took her to central booking, did everything,
Hmm.
and the judge told me let her go. And I uncuffed her, and she got to the shelter before I got there, and she was laughing at me, and she was laughing at me and everything.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's what we have to deal with in society now. You know, anyone is being let go. You know, depending on the crime and what they do is they're letting these people go and what they're doing is they're hurting us. And I don't agree with that.
Nothing really sticks anymore. It's kind of crazy
Hmm.
how policing changed from many years ago to now.
Hmm.
Um,
What they're doing now, they're giving people DETs, discipline tickets, and
yeah,
they're letting them go. Basically for you to come back and we'll see you. And if
yeah,
you don't
but
come back, then you get a warrant. Shit like that. But
it's crazy. I
yeah,
I
man.
remember one of my last situations right before I left the department. What was the situation? Okay, there was this guy. He beat the crap out of his wife upstairs. I'm talking
Hmm.
about. There was a pool of blood that I slipped. I fell on the
Wow.
floor because of the blood, and it was a trail of blood. Right, all, to the bathroom, all the way to their room. I knocked after I fell because it was blood everywhere. They opened the door, and I saw her busted up. I said, "Who did this to you? Was it him?" And she's like, "No, no, no, no." She denied it. And then he confessed and said, "Yeah, but we were just playing around." I said, "Playing around? Okay. Put your hands behind your back," and I cuffed him. Right. So, whatever. I'm getting the paperwork ready, and he tells me, "Can I take this medication? It's for my what he said. I get seizures or something. I forgot what he said."
Hmm.
And I said, "Damn, you know what? I should give it to him, but let me get permission for the supervisor, because I don't
Hmm.
want to give it to him, and then he ended up dying, and then they blame it on me."
Yeah, you never know.
To
Yeah, because since he's under your care now, um, you don't want him to take something, and now it's on you.
Yeah, so I told the supervisor. She was like, "No, don't give it to him." I said, "Sarge, you sure? Don't give it to him." I said, "Okay, all right." So we go to central bookings. On our way, no, we go to the precinct. On our way, like that whole day was cursed from the begin with. One, I slipped on that blood. That's one thing, right? On our way to the precinct,
Hmm.
right? And when we went to the precinct, I did all the paperwork and everything. The sergeant approved it. On our way, to Central Bookings, we had a flat tire in the highway
With the perp.
with the fucking perp in the back,
Oh
right?
man.
So then we finally got out the highway and we're literally fixing this damn thing next to the fucking projects. So you know how that go. So I don't know how we did it, but we ended up fixing it a little bit so we can make it to Central Bookings. Now we're driving to Central Bookings in the highway where there is like a tapón, like it was like
Not that that
it was fucking
tapón.
un tapón. That shit was crazy, like 100 fucking vehicles and shit. Nothing was moving.
You didn't put no lights and sirens on it.
No, 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 no. Like even with nothing was moving, even with
Yeah.
it. So we just stood there, and even though an officer's supposed to be in the back, all right. So that car that we took, we didn't have enough time to take the other vehicle. The other vehicle was being used for a collar. So one of the
Mm,
vehicles we had, they didn't have a cage because it wasn't really meant
mm,
to make collars.
yeah.
But the other one was in a collar, was in a so we didn't take it. So we took another car. The car didn't have a cage. So usually, if it doesn't have a cage, an officer has to sit in the back
Sitting
with
in the
it.
back. Yeah.
But I'm too big. I'm chunky, so that car is small. I
Damn,
can't fit
kid.
in the back. I can't fit in the back. So even though it's kind of crazy, but I sat in the front. But
You
we
sat in the
made sure.
front. Oh my god.
Listen, it's crazy. So even though it's not protocol, but we had to do what we had to do. So even though I made sure that I double checked him like 10 times, he didn't have no weapons. I actually put two cuffs on him. I didn't give a fuck. That guy ain't coming out. So he had cuffs and he had the seatbelt, so he wasn't going nowhere. All of a sudden, he's like a little quiet. So I'm not paying attention. And after a while, I'm like, yo, why is this guy quiet? Like too quiet. I look back, the guy was having a seizure and he was choking on his tongue.
Hmm.
So now he's not breathing and shit. Now he's about to fucking pass out. So
Oh
now
my god.
now we're freaking out because this guy's about to fucking die in the back seat of a cop car. So
Yeah.
now I have to fucking jump in the back. I literally jumped in the back and trying to make sure he's
You,
breathing.
how did you jump in the back?
I didn't listen.
That's the
I just
story.
did
That's the
something.
story we need to investigate.
So long story short, I jumped in the back somehow. And he's squeezing my hand so he knows what's going on. So we literally we found like a little broken section and we went like opposite of the traffic. So like we were going, how can I say this? We had incoming cars coming our way. Like we were in
Hmm.
the opposite lane and we just went full force in that shit. So the fact that we didn't get into a car accident was like pretty much God. We happened to find a hospital somehow. We went in there and I grabbed him and I dragged him out and then we got him to the emergency.
Hmm.
Long story short, whatever, we saved him. He's good. The sergeant is mad at me because because he caught a fucking uh what's that called a seizure. How you mad at
Mm.
me when I told you that like he needed to take the medication? Can you believe it?
Yeah.
So she's over here cursing me out. I'm like, why you mad at me? I told you that he had a
Yeah.
condition. So that was one of the stories. It was that day it was horrible.
Yeah,
It,
that's crazy.
nothing was going my way that day.
Mm-mm. Do you miss that department?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. In my new department, there's no brotherhood. It's every man for themselves. It's oh my god, it's just crazy, man. Like it's not a good department to begin with. It has
Yeah,
a lot of
and
flaws,
yeah,
but in that the
it
old
shouldn't be that way. You know, everyone should be, you know, together. Everyone should be. There should be like a brotherhood, sisterhood. You know, everyone should be working as one. You know,
Nah, not in there, man. So that's one thing I miss about the old department is that there's something. It's crazy. Maybe it's in our and maybe it's in all of our DNAs, but there's something about being in a dangerous situation with someone you trust and you know he's gonna have your back that
hmm
makes everything wild. Like makes everything like like feel good. Maybe they call it adrenaline or whatever it is, but there's something about that camaraderie of having someone that's gonna have your back that you know they're gonna have your back. It's like
absolutely.
yeah, but I don't get that in my department. It's just every man for themselves, pretty much.
Yeah, that's not right. That's not right. Mm. Are you
Yeah,
planning on you know moving on, or is it?
yeah. I'm eventually gonna move on soon. I got well a couple people know this, but I got hurt on the job, so I'm still thinking whether I'm gonna leave or not.
hmm
But I don't know. Policing is not the same anymore. I don't
No,
see
yeah,
policing once it was. So I don't know. I don't know.
no,
Maybe I might
I'm
stay, but at this point, I don't think I'm going. I don't think I'm going to.
no, I'm the same way, man. 100%. You know, I see it differently now. You know, no one respect cops, and unfortunately, it's sad to say, but sometimes it's the officer. You know, sometimes like I've been in some situations, or I've heard of situation where the officer is just doesn't want to help the person out, and they want to actually hurt the person. That's not something I agree with. I feel like we should be out here helping people instead of hurting them. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
I I
it
definitely know
sucks.
what you're saying.
It sucks. There's some people that tell me they hear the officer is looking for arrest, and they're looking for this and that, and I'm happy not to be part of that anymore. I guess I do miss it 100%. Like I said, I miss the culture, the lifestyle. It's in my blood, of course. When I'm out here, I see a brother in blue, a sister in blue. I get happy. I feel I feel safe. But it's just not the same anymore. People get on the job for different reasons. People back then used to get on the job just to help people out and create some type of change. But nowadays, from what I've heard and what I've seen, people get on because either it's for the gun and the shield, or is you know just the stupid stuff. And I feel like people like that shouldn't wear that uniform.
You're absolutely right. Um, there's one thing I hate is when like for example, like you got like these young kids, right? And you always have that one partner who always want to like arrest them for minor things, like stupid little things that's not even
Yeah, man.
like me. I had a good reputation in my old department, and even now in here, I help a lot of people out. Believe it or not,
Yeah, same here.
um, in my old department, for every little thing, right? Since I worked in a family shelter, for any little thing, any little scream, any little like argument, I had to write a DV report. Which what happens is once you get a DV report, that stays in your record forever.
By the way, DV report is domestic violence report,
Yeah. So
or or
you know,
or DIR. Do you guys do DIR?
yeah.
Yeah, the domestic incident report.
So there used to be kids. I'm talking about kids that are 19, couples
hmm
that didn't have nowhere to go, but they had their significant other, and they had like a little argument. And every time I would respond and I see like these young kids and I had to write those reports, I wouldn't write it. I
Mhm.
refuse to write it because what happens is if I write a DB case on them, just because they were screaming loudly, right? They get separated and they'll never be in the same shelter together again.
Mhm.
That means they can't get an apartment together. And that says in a
It,
record. So there was a lot of cops that would literally do it just to do it, just to have fun. Like that was crazy to me. I used to
yeah.
argue with them all the time because I'm like, how you gonna do this? Like these are young kids, man. And
Mhm.
then and also even giving people summonses. If it's a young kid that he did something stupid that's not that crazy, why am I gonna
Mhm.
give him the disorderly conduct? I mean, he's a kid. Once
Yeah,
you
he's a kid,
do that, let's
exactly.
say he wants to be a cop later on, that's
Mhm.
gonna affect him. It's gonna be in their
Absolutely.
record. So
People don't think about those things.
I never listen. In I'm gonna tell you this right now. In all my years of being a cop, even in my current job, I never gave like a young kid. Just, obviously, if we do something crazy, that's different. But if we do something stupid, nothing that's not even like that's not hurting nobody.
Mhm.
Even if you raise your voice, like it's a kid, like you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
17-year-old, 18-year-old, their minds are
Yeah.
not even developed.
They
You know
don't know
you
any
go
better.
Yeah, you go ahead and you give him a summons or and then eventually, because look at me, I was a hothead. I mean, I was a hothead as a
Mhm.
volunteer cop, and I started when I was 18, I think, doing that, and I was a hothead. So imagine somebody doing that to me when I'm 18 and
Mhm.
I wasn't developed. So I don't believe in just messing people's um the
Life
records
up.
of just because
Mhm.
I know that eventually he may want to be a cop and you're giving him all these DV things or you arresting him, that's gonna mess him up, especially
Mhm.
DV cases. Listen, DV cases are the worst. Just to have in your record, when you go
Mhm.
apply to be a cop and you got DV cases, you're done.
Mhm.
There's some departments that you can't even get a gun because you have DV cases.
Mhm. No, I agree. It's like I had a similar incident today. In my current role, I'm a supervisor now in a different organization, and so there's this kid. We got a call saying that this guy comes in. He's out. He went into a facility without a shirt, and his son he came in. I think he had to been like maybe 2 years old, without a shirt, and somebody came and told me that, hey, I think we should call child services on this guy, and I'm like, why? And mind you, I had a conversation with the guy. The guy, unfortunately, his mother or mother-in-law, was taken to the hospital, and they ran out of the house like that. I guess they were without any shirts. So someone came to my attention and was like, "Hey, I think we should call child services." And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Oh, because this kid is out here without a shirt." And I'm like, "Are you serious?" I mean, I didn't tell her this, but I was in my mind. I'm like, "Are you serious?" Like I already knew the situation that they had left the house because they had an emergency, but like all of a sudden, we want to call child services because this person is out here without a shirt. Now we call child services, and then what? The guys, the parents gonna be agitated because now he has a case. Some people out here don't think, and they wanna. I mean, I guess the person was trying to help, but sometimes you got to really think about it. Am I really gonna go out of my way to hurt this person in the long run? So I was a little annoyed by that, because she didn't know the situation. If she would have asked me, "Hey, do you know why this person is out here like this?" or what can we do to help this person? But no, they wanted to jump right on, school child services. Some people out here, they just, they just want to do the wrong things, and it sucks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah, man, I'm not all for that, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
so we're running out of time. So we got maybe like 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
before we have to hang it up. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Yeah, I don't believe in that, man. I hate people like that. Man. It's just
Hmm.
um, it's
Look. You saw some this topic I want to touch on real quick. That really, I'm still shocked at the for battery, very bad for the family of the cop. Um, they got killed in the Bronx, especially in our area. We're from this area, of Soundview, where the dad, unfortunately killed his son. He was an NYPD cop, due to mental health. And I feel very bad for the family. My prayers is for the family.
yeah, same here. It's just crazy, man. And then it's like for your own, for your own father to do that while you're sleeping. I think he was
While he's
sleeping, so
sleeping.
he didn't know anything.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's unbelievable, man.
Uh,
And then all these active shooters going around, like the one in I
yeah.
I I didn't do
There
my
was.
research on the one in Florida, but
Yeah,
I
man.
saw like a little
From
I
what I
saw like a
heard.
little thing here and there.
Yeah, from what I heard, this guy, and it's not the only one that's been happening. The same one. It's the same one that kind of happened and was it Buffalo? So in this situation, this is what from what I'm hearing, because I didn't really read the whole story. This guy walks in. He went to this college campus, and he was denied access for some reason. So he went into this Dollar General, if I'm not mistaken, with AR-15, um, pistol, and a handgun, and just started open firing it. And he shot about three people, for no reason, of course. And this is something that we're starting to see every day now. Like it happened in Buffalo not too long ago, right?
Yeah,
Where
the
this
one in
guy
Buffalo, man. Look, you know what? Like
and I think he recorded himself and everything. I believe, right? He had a whole
it's not
camera.
that it's funny, yo. Listen, man. Like it's
It's
not funny, but
horrible.
it's just crazy. Like real quick, cause we gotta go. But the how I found out about the one in Buffalo, right? So I was
It was all over the news.
in like in a mini vacation with my wife, right? So we were in this nice fancy hotel, and I was sleeping, and I'm in this police group chat where guys be sending crazy videos and stuff like that. So it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. Somebody sent me a video, and I'm like, damn, who's sending me at 4 o'clock in the morning? So I woke up, to use the bathroom, and I click on the video. That video was so graphic, like
Yeah, it was sad.
not even trying to like go crazy, but I couldn't sleep. Like for real, I could not sleep that whole night after I saw the graphic video, the one in Buffalo. Like it's so crazy how you could do that, and it was so clear as day. Like he's
Yeah,
streaming it, I
people don't
think
have no
on.
heart, man. Something is not clicking in the head, and I feel like the government or the local officials should get involved. Let's make more programs out there for these, for people who suffering from this. Because it's bad. It's bad out here,
Uh, this is crazy, man. Right? It's kind of scary to even go out.
man. I'm always carrying, bro.
Oh my
I'm
god,
always
listen, this
carrying,
is
man.
ridiculous, man.
Yeah. Every time I go to the supermarket, man, all the time, man. Even to check my mail.
No, 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 no. Like honestly, every time you go to the supermarket, you have to
Yeah, man.
carry because that's where all the
Even when I
shootings
walk my
happen
dogs,
now.
yeah, yeah, exactly, man. Especially when I'm with my family, man. Got a couple of magazines and everything. You never know. You
Yeah,
never know.
and a bazooka in there too. Fuck that. But listen, we already hitting our mark
Yeah,
already. We
bro.
already passed.
So,
But it was nice talking to you, D. So pretty much he's gonna be the main. So he's the main co-host for this show. He's gonna be a mainstay. So I'm glad that you guys got to know him. You got to know his
yeah,
story.
man.
You guys got
And
to
we're
know his
definitely gonna
story
talk
and stuff like
about
that.
yeah. we're definitely gonna talk more about about myself and our past experience and all that stuff, and give a little bit of stories, man. But I appreciate you having me here, and hope to continue telling you guys about all our past experience.
Yeah. So, like I said, thanks for coming today. And and yeah, thank you. And I'm signing off, guys. Have a good night.
Peace.